Good morning, Rise. Welcome to another edition of Lunch with Gina. It's a special time of the year because it's the end of the school year for many independent schools, and it's been a phenomenal year. I thank you for participating with us and taking your time to watch Lunch with Gina. I think you're liking it. I'm hearing some good things about it. Today, we want to kind of kick off the summer season with our children because this summertime, we're going to be spending more time with our children. It's an opportunity to parent in a different way. You know, summer brings on a more relaxed tone, a more family feel to things. And we have with us today, joining us for lunch, Lynne Hurdle Price. And Lynne Hurdle Price is a conflict resolution strategist. And we've been honored to have her work with many of our member schools, our RISE member schools this year. And the feedback has been phenomenal. Folks, schools have been asking Lynne to come back and speak with faculty and staff. So we're really proud to have her with us, and we're learning so much about parenting. So we want to say good morning to Lynne Hurdle Price. Good morning, Lynne.
Good morning, Gina and Rise family.
So let's move right ahead. You got some things going on to get parenting skills to the next level this summer, and it's all around fear, because we did talk a lot about not letting fear rule our lives, and that often keeps us away from really good conversations. Tell us a little bit more about this event that you have coming up.
The event that I have coming up is a free webinar. It is June 14th and 8 p.m. I say 8 p.m. NYC time. Everybody knows that's Eastern time, but I say New York City time, Bronx time, whatever. In any case, it is 5 ways to stop fear from being the loudest voice in your home. And let me just go back on that to let your audience know that my first free webinar was last month, and it was actually on the 5 things you should never do if you want your kids to listen to you. And the number 2 thing was actually to find out whether fear was the loudest voice in your home. So you should never let fear be the loudest voice in your home. And so there was such a great response, I decided to do a second webinar, and it really is about addressing fear as a voice in your home. And a lot of us don't really know that fear is the actual voice, because fear disguises itself so well. So it can be so many other emotions. Often we're in touch with the emotion of anger, but underneath that sits even more, what I would say, delicate emotions, things like being vulnerable and being embarrassed and being intimidated, or just really not even knowing what to do in situations, kind of being lost. It might be the emotion, but underneath all of that, there sits fear. Fear is the root of things like being vulnerable. I'm afraid to be myself, to show myself out there, particularly as a parent and particularly in front of my child. We're going to look at what are some of the root causes of fear, whether or not it's actually the loudest voice in your home, and how do we address it. So it's June 14th at 8 p.m. And if folks go to the conflictcloser.com/stop fear. They can go to my website. My business page is Lynne Maureen Hurdle there as well. But in any case, it's going to be great. And if you were not able to make the first webinar, one of the free bonuses for attending this webinar is actually the free mini book on the 5 things you should never do if you want your kids to listen to you. So that's the extra bonus too, is that you're actually going to get the mini book from the first webinar as one of 3 bonuses with this webinar. So hey, if you missed the first one, you get a chance to really read the mini book. It's a much deeper dive than we were able to do even on the webinar. And then of course you'll get the free mini book with this one, which is it's got a fun title. It's called How to Beat Your Kids Without Putting Your Hands on Them. And BEAT, of course, is an acronym But I thought that's a funny title that will at least try attract people to be interested in what does that mean?
Well, yeah, when you talk about fear, I think of my own experience with my children who are now teens. Right, I have one going into 7th grade and one going into 10th grade, and it's that whole idea of not being in control. Right, we feel we need
Yes.
to be in control, and as our children grow and develop and become the independent souls that we want them to be, we will be out of control at points and times. And I know I often react out of fear, and I didn't realize that that was the underlying um, emotion there. But I'm losing a little bit of control, and I cannot revert to my old ways. Yes, I have spanked my children. I just can't. I mean, it hurts me to spank them now, like literally. Do it big. But you have a really unique way of connecting with people. You're fun. You're funny.
Thank you.
And I've had, again, PA members that participated in the workshops, the parenting workshops that you've done in our independent schools say, wow, we really need to have her back. So I know that this workshop, this webinar, Tuesday the 14th, is going to be powerful. I encourage the RISE Network to join on and learn a little bit more about our parenting skills. We can always learn in that department. We're not perfect. We make mistakes, and being vulnerable is key. Being able to say to your child, listen, I don't have all the answers. I may have done this wrong. I'm sorry I said that. Let's start from there. They're all good, because I think our children respect us more when we are able to be vulnerable, right? And
well, let's think about it. A lot of us, while we loved our parents and had good parents, the things that you just said, a lot of us never heard that from our own parents, but would have wanted to. I know for me, it would have made a huge difference. Even one time, I think I only heard my mom apologize to me one time, and that is when she slapped me in the face. And beyond that, I felt, even as a child, that there were other apologies due. Of course, I could never say that, but I felt that in my heart, and I don't see anything wrong with the parenting differently. And it's funny, I want to go back to the piece about control, and I think that a good amount of my work is helping parents to actually control what we really only can control, which is ourselves.
Yeah.
And as much as we want to control, what we really want to control are the circumstances around our kids. We think we want to control our kids, but basically we're looking to keep them safe and to keep them loved and to keep them on the right path. And part of that for me is the work of getting myself on the right path and making sure I am in touch with me and what's going on with me and how that relates to the way that I parent. And I think that's why I have such a good relationship with parents, is because I'm doing this myself. I'm using these techniques every single day, and I'm able to talk about the successes, and I'm able to talk about the places where I just didn't do well. I lost it, or that particular technique didn't work that day, but yet I still believe in it, and this is how I parent. And so I think that once parents know you're not judging them, and that, hey, they're going to make mistakes, but that they're doing a great job even when they make mistakes, I think that's what helps them let down their guard when we're on webinars or in-person workshops.
In addition to control, another fear-based parenting issue that I have is safety. As my kids get older, I want them to be safe, and they're taking now public transportation to get where they have to go. They're going to events where, I'm expecting that a parent will be there, but I don't know. That's a tough one for me. And so I hope that you talk more about that. The control piece, I think I can get around, but it's how I stop being fearful about letting them grow up and be independent and take care of themselves.
Right. Well, it's interesting because There are some fears that are just a part of parenthood. And really, what I have found and what research has shown, and just the way we live our lives these days in a state of so much stress, is that what the issue becomes when everything becomes fear-based. It's so much of what we do becomes fear-based. Hey, as a parent, you're going to be concerned for their safety. I don't care how old they are, just like you're always going to be concerned for your own safety, even as skilled as we are of going out there and taking care of ourselves. It's still a concern. So there are things that as a parent that you will be concerned about. But once you learn to take the other kinds of fears off your plate, oh, I'm afraid they're going to say something that I'm not going to want to hear. Well, when you go to a fear-based place with that, it actually adds stress within your body. And so hormones are activated in that, and you're much more likely to react as opposed to respond. So how do I begin to start taking those things off my plate? Because when I get to the places where, hey, yes, this is a scary thing, if I've already implemented skills and techniques to address fear, I can decide if that's one that I want to take on or not, because it really is a lot of stress to every time they go out to be fearful. That's a tremendous amount of stress to put on ourselves. But at the same time, we certainly understand that, and we certainly understand that in communities of color, no matter what your economic status is.
Yeah.
So I really do talk about how do we, first of all, start to look at when fear is disguising itself and when it has influenced the way we are parenting, and how do we address that and take it off of our plate, knowing that there is, parenting has some very scary moments in it.
So I don't know if you're willing to give a sneak peek at one of your techniques, but I kind of developed one myself, and that was around the fear of safety. And I said to my daughter, I'm worried, but I didn't want to give her my fear. So I said,
Right.
you know what? I know I don't want to take your power away from you, and I know that you can take care of yourself, and I know that you're gonna understand your surroundings, look at your surroundings, and put yourself first. So that alleviated some of my fear, and it gave her the power to be able to be responsible for her own safety as well.
Right. Yeah, I think, I know that everyone doesn't particularly like this technique, but I find that if you can do it, even in a small way, it's really important. And for me, it's role playing. It's a simple, let's throw up some situations. It's almost like charades. You can throw it that way, especially summer is here, right? So summertime, we tend to be more playful and creative and the kinds of things we do with our kids. I think being able to do some role playing around situations and let's see how they'd handle it, and let's then throw in, well, let me step in and let's try this, or how would this go? I know particularly, actually both of my sons have told me this at some point in role playing. It's like, oh yeah, that's great, that'll work for you, but that's not me. Okay, what's you then, right? Throw it up. Let's play with that. Let's see what that, and that also can lead to some really good conversation, because I think ultimately, yes, we cannot shield them, hide them from everything, and nor ourselves. And so if we want to be able to feel better about the choices, then at least let's know what they are, and let's actually help them to really decide how they might maneuver in the situations that they're going to be in, or actually may already have been in, right? Because that's the other piece. We think we're coming in early. And it's like, already faced that, thank you, but okay.
Yeah. Well, listen, I know we're going to get into more of that on the webinar. We will post all of that information, the link to sign up for the webinar, the bonus package of the mini book, right in the comment section under this video, so that folks can just sign up. I promise you, Raj, you will just amazing summer with your children if we can get rid of some of these fear-based emotions that we have. And it's all about having really great relationships and great conversations. So, Lynne, I want to thank you. We're going to be back with you on Tuesday, the 16th of June, right?
The 14th, June 14th.
June 14th, Tuesday. All of the information is here, Rise. Let's show up so we can show out with great relationships with our children and great.
Yes. And I just want to say to folks, even if you hear, 8 p.m., I'm busy, sign up, because the only way to get the bonuses and the replay is if you sign up. I'm not sending it to just to people who want it. Sign up so you can try to make it in. If you can't, you'll get all the bonuses in the replay.
Awesome. Lynne, thank you so much for your support with Rise this year, and we look forward to you connecting with us again next year.
Absolutely, Gina. Always a pleasure. Bye, Rise.
Bye, Rise. Have a great day.
Okay.
And congratulations to the graduates of 2016.
Yeah.
Well done. Okay, bye.